Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning. This is the Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session. It is Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. It is 9:01 a.m. This session is set to go until 10 a.m. This is a hybrid meeting. We're at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, room 110. For public virtual attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. Joining you via Zoom in the boardroom is Vice Chair Ty Menser, as well as Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and Assistant County Manager Rob Gilder. And today we are having a Veterans Board update. And so, who am I passing this to?
Maybe at this point I will pass over to Mark Muffett.
Sure.
And
I'll
then
take it.
we can go through introductions who are in the room. That will be great.
You bet. I'm Mark Moffett, the program manager for the Veterans Program and Social Services at Public Health and Social Services.
I'm Bill Powell. I'm the VAB chairperson. This is one of the members, Ken. And
Yeah, my name's Ken Board. I'm a board member and really appreciate all the work you all do here for our veterans.
My name is Lenny Smilem. I'm the program manager for the Veterans Program.
Good morning, I'm Shailene Baggs. I'm the Veterans Program Specialist.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us here today. Today we're just going to be going over our program overview in this particular slide. I'll wait until we get that up. And okay, so the Thurston County Veterans Assistance Program, as it will be titled, provides support to veterans and their families through a wide range of assistance. We can assist veterans with different types of home assistance, utilities, provide basic needs for sustenance and things for indigent veterans in Thurston County. We encourage all veterans to contact us to find out if they're approved or eligible for our services, to see if we can do an application for them and get them assisted with our program. Some of the things that we do provide for veterans are rent, move-in costs, utilities, and various other types of support. We do handle each veteran on a case-by-case basis. So again, we do encourage all veterans in the Thurston County area to contact us if they need assistance. And our next slide. So currently that would be, yeah.
this next slide.
Okay.
Slide.
Oh, I apologize. It
What happened to that one?
should be on there. That's the next slide.
Okay. All right, the slide you're looking at right now is the current board members. And it's
The next one?
Next one. There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Is this the current one?
for the current board member, and also they got the expiration date and how many terms they have been up there so far. Any question on this one right here?
So just to add to that,
And-
sorry about that.
Also, we do have the recommended numbers of 9, but we also got to vote for a vice chair, and hopefully we're gonna be doing this on the 28th, which that's why I had scheduled for on the 28th.
And we were full with the 9 members that we have. And just to let you know that we don't go out and recruit necessarily for board members. We get a lot of applicants that come in, and by the RCW, we are to have the majority of the members part of a national recognized veteran service organization. And currently we have 8 of our 9 that are part of an organization. Okay.
Should be on par now. Next would be the Veterans Assistance Fund spending. I wanted to make a correction on something that was advised to the board during our hub presentation. The numbers that were given for 2022 didn't include the entire year. They were short from the middle of the year, from May until December wasn't counted. So our numbers, as you can see, with the green line at the very end of the total, Our,
for 2022?
for 2022, yes, the blue line at the top is a lot higher than what was initially posted, but we are proud to say, thanks with the board, for the board's help in getting a lot of our approvals for our policies, we were able to provide a total of $99,050.68 in support to veterans in 2022. There is a breakdown of services for rent, utilities, car repair, and burial, and we do have other services that we provided to veterans in the Thurston County area. As you can see with our 2023 numbers that we have listed, and we're still have a few months in the year left, we're doing pretty awesome with that. It's $131,064.70. And that does include rent, utilities, car repairs, burial, and other services. And those other services can vary depending on the veteran's unique situation and what was approved, utilizing the board to get those items approved.
And you might, when you look at this graph, you see there was a huge surge last year, third quarter. You know, we expected to see more veterans coming in during COVID, but last year, about this time, some of the federal programs had kind of died off, and so we did see a surge. We don't know if that's the exact reason, but that we did see a larger increase of people coming in. And this year, it's just continually, we're getting more traction with veterans coming in. All right, the fund balance. So the fund balance, that's, give you a little historical perspective. Between 2010 and about 2014, we were running in a deficit. And at the time, the advisory board made some changes to policy to kind of restrict the amount that was going out because too much was going out. So they made a policy of the veteran could come in twice in their lifetime. They restricted the amount that could go out and for what services. So in 2011, we started seeing a balance each year. And that's where we're at now. So we have a very large fund balance, which is a great thing to have in some respects. But as you see, we're starting to implement some programs, and you'll see that later in the slide, in the presentation. But starting next year, we should start seeing a negative balance. We'll still see a balance, but it will decrease each year. So next year, it's projected to be, -2%, and it continually goes. But we have some other projects that we're hoping to get approved by this board in the next month that would help a lot of veterans in our community with different services. These are things that we haven't offered in the past. And as you can see how large the fund balance is, we're just not going to spend it down based on direct services like we've counted on in the past. So we're trying to change some things up and get the money out to veterans in different ways. Any questions on the fund balance? Okay.
I didn't know you were asking for questions.
Oh,
I have a
anytime,
question.
yeah.
I had a question on a previous slide. The spending, yeah, that one. So, from what I'm seeing, 2022 and 2023 are like double what it had been previously, and I wasn't able to attend the Veterans Hub presentation, but would the hub show similar types of numbers of doubling the amount of people they're seeing? I mean, that's pretty dramatic.
It is. I'm not sure how that compares. The only correction we were making was they had mentioned that last year we only spent about 20 or 30,000, where it's actually triple or
Over 100, it looks like.
But as far as the numbers, we are able to give out more as well. So we didn't necessarily double the numbers of veterans, but we have increased the amount.
Okay, yeah, very good, thank you.
Over on this slide. Since we're in Q3, these numbers are based on, what was the cutoff, July or?
Yeah, July, yes, July.
On your balance, for an example, you're anticipating though through some new expenditures, new programs, we're gonna have less, right? And you're gonna spend more.
We're gonna spend more and start spending that
Are
fund
you
balance
gonna
now.
get into some of those
We will,
programs that are
yes.
coming up?
So now we're going to take a look at the active VAP programs.
Sorry, I do have a question on this. maybe related to following up on Commissioner Mensa's. You see 2023, that's significant so far, so good, right? And most likely we have another 6 months of expenditures. The cutoff was in July. I'm just curious if now the ending fund balance of the expenditures for 2023 of 300 and, what do you have, 86,000? 336,000. I'm wondering if that is higher or could be higher.
I'm sorry, which one? The expenditures?
Expenditures in 2023.
So the 336?
Yeah, I'm wondering, based on the rate of expenditures that you have so far, most likely that's gonna be significantly higher. I'm just curious if that is probably conservative.
I think it is. I mean, during the holidays, we see an increase in veterans coming in, so there may be more, and we'd have to come in for probably a change, a budget change. But right now, I think we're doing pretty well with the fund balance. But it could be, I mean, we're already above what we did last year.
So I guess my question is, you may want to look at the expenditures for 2023 a little bit closer.
Okay.
Based on the rate of expenditures that you have so far.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Mark?
Yep.
So how does this, from the last slide to kind of the fund balance, how does this convey into like the number of people served? Is there something along those lines? Like, is that, so right now we're kind of at the 3,000-foot level. I kind of want to dig in a little deeper on like, well, how many veterans are we serving and kind of what programs are they going into? Just to kind of tie the circle, I guess.
Yep, and Shay's ready to give those numbers to you.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Jumping ahead of the curve.
No, we have them on the side, just in case you asked that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for 2022, we were able to assist 53 individuals, only 10 having been denied for reasons such as over income or discharge status, things of that nature. So far this year, just through July, we've assisted 40 individuals and their families, with only 22 having been denied. 54% of those were over income, 22% were not eligible veterans, so again, with discharge status or just not a veteran at all. And then it goes down to like usage limits and other situations.
And I think it's important to note that we've met with other counties in the state that do what we do, and we're at the top limit. So this board has graciously approved us to go 200% above
National poverty
national
level.
poverty level. So 200% of over their income, we can still help. There is some gray area. You know, we're not gonna cut them off right there. Everybody's it's an individual, but if they're making 300, 400, 500% over the poverty level, that's something that we can't justify based on RCW and being indigent veterans. So that's the majority of the folks that we can't support. Does that help, Commissioner Mejia?
Those numbers help. Thank you so much.
Okay. And this would be the active VAP programs. The first one that we're going to discuss is the Catholic Community Service Drexel House Shelter. So for 2023, we've had 1 veteran served there, but this is for the first quarter. The second quarter has not been inputted as of this slide. So I think that the reason why the veteran numbers for this particular service are a little bit lower is because of the education on who is actually qualified under the RCW as being a veteran. And so I just wanted to reiterate that this particular program that we have is paid as we use it. So unless a veteran has stayed at the shelter, we are not offering payment for that. So we pay as the veterans come to the shelter. And if you can see our numbers during COVID, when we presented this last year, we talked a great deal about how COVID had restricted a lot of the shelters locally in Thurston County and that greatly affected some of the amount of veterans that we had at the facility. But where we're at now is one veteran for 2023. Any questions regarding that?
And we, again, you can see during COVID, we've seen a dramatic decrease in the amount of veterans going to the shelters and being identified at Catholic Community Services that they can support. Don't really know the answer to that, but they will help. Even if we can't support the veteran based on RCW, they still bring them in. And so if they've had a bad conduct discharge, they will still support them.
Absolutely.
Last question, how is this service being really promoted within the community so that a veteran would know this is a resource for them?
It is promoted through, it's not sidewalk. Can you help with this one?
No, Cass Community Service is promoted through all the partners that's out there in the community. If they got a veteran they're working with and that veteran needs someplace to go, they will try to get in touch with Cass Community Service. I forgot his name. It used to be Dan working there, but I don't know who's the guy working there now. But once they find out, they're supposed to check to see what their discharge status are. And if their discharge status is honorable or general and honorable condition, then they can qualify for a bed at Cap, which is I think is 3 beds there. But if the providers don't tell the veterans still find out from another veterans, because that's how most of the shelter down there work, like St. Mike. At the time, Sidewalk was doing the shelter for St. Mike, and we had started off with 24 beds, then COVID hit. Then we had to go down to 14 beds, but people knew St. Mike had beds and they'd come there, they stay all winter at St. Mike's. But when COVID hit, when you had to start getting shot, people didn't want to get shot. Couldn't go to St. Mike's, and just like all the rest of the shelter, couldn't get shots. They didn't put them in there because too close, and then they had to limit the number of people they put in the shelter because of COVID. And most people just stayed out in the woods where they still stand. Yes, sir.
Did you say most of them stay in the woods, were they?
Yes, sir.
So
They didn't want to take
they're
the
just
shot.
not, in the winter, maybe they are coming in.
And where is coming?
coming in,
Well, during
but-
COVID, they didn't come in because the requirement was you had to be vaccinated.
Okay,
And that
Okay.
played a big old stink with everybody
Sure.
on the,
sure.
and I know St. Mike said if they're not vaccinated, they can't come to the shelter.
And I suppose even the rules and regulations that they don't want to follow keep them out to a degree, I suppose.
So Bill works closely with the shelters. In fact, that's what you do most days. So not just with veterans, but with all houseless folks. And this is a long-standing contract that we've had with Catholic Community Services, and they haven't raised their rate. It's I think it's $49 a night, up to per bed night, and they can reserve up to 3 bed nights per night for veterans, which obviously we're not hitting that mark, but that is available. And so it's a good point, Robert, about how do we advertise it, getting it out into the homeless communities, and whether or not, I'm not really sure, other than going through the shelter.
I'll just comment on that. I know the hub used to contract with Catholic Community Services directly. They had presence at the hub at some point. I don't know what happened to the contract there, but it might be something we might want to revisit.
Well, I know he's talking about, it used to be, I used to have the position down there, first Sidewalk, we were doing the VI. So if a veteran coming there, they needed somewhere to stay, I used to go through the list and call over to Catholic Community Service, hey, I got a veteran here, do you have space for him? Cause I already checked his DD form 214, all of that. So I used to get him in there, but then when the program got slipped away or whatever, how it got taken away from Sidewalk or whatever, no one is down there as of now. They come down on Thursday and that's it. If they come on Thursday, so.
So that's a good suggestion to see what is
Absolutely.
the barrier for Catholic Community Services to have a presence at the hub.
You said Catholic Community Services comes on Thursdays?
No, the person, when Cass Community, Cesar used to be in charge of the program, he used to have an office down there. But when he left, I took over doing all the VIs and stuff down there for Cass Community Service in the community for the veterans. And somehow that, you have to ask, Family Support Center why it got taken away.
All right. So it's something we'll look at.
Yep.
Absolutely.
If a different representative can come down there, because Thursdays, what's important about Thursdays is at the hub is we have what they call VHOG, which is the Veteran Housing
Options. Options.
Options Group.
Mhm.
And so that's where veterans come and we have, well, you can talk about it probably better than I can, but whoever's involved in the housing and we attend to if there's somebody needs financial support, and we can answer all the questions all at one time. So that happens. It's a very busy day down at the hub on Thursdays.
It provides a wraparound service for veterans when they come in. So if they're coming in just to look for employment, we have financial services there. We have the HUD-VASH individuals there. We also have food individuals there that will help with that. We have pre-law services there, not pre-laws, excuse me, law assistance services there. So we have a wraparound service for the total veteran. And this next slide is regarding the veterans case management. I think it's important to note that this is not used out of the Veterans Assistance Fund. This is a separate fund that is managed by our program. And we just recently briefed on this with a board recently, last Friday. So this is used with other funds, and we are kicking that off with a new veteran specialist who is assisting us with this. The restrictions at the jail, this covers the jail intakes for veterans, and this also covers Veterans Court. Shay has already been to Veterans Court to assist veterans there, and we've just got her accesses, thankfully, to assist with going to the jail a certain amount of times per week. I think that a lot of, just in case there are any questions regarding this program, a lot of the low numbers you see here are directly related to COVID and staffing changes. We lost a long-term employee who moved on to another division with Thurston County. And during that time, there was kind of a lapse of information there, and we hired Shay on, and so we should be kicking this off this month. And also, the restrictions have been lifted at the jail as of August 1st. So that is going to make it a lot easier to get in and service our veterans there who need our assistance.
And what's important about looking at this is it is funded by TST. And so when Shay does work on this project, she codes her time to TST. It's a very small budget for TST. It's about $32,000 that we get a year. Obviously, we haven't spent that recently, especially through COVID, because a lot of times if a veteran that would qualify for our program, they catch and release, so we don't get the opportunity to interface with the veteran. So now, I'm not saying hopefully we'll have more clients, but with the restrictions lifted at the jail, we should see an increase in activity.
Help me understand the graph a little bit. First question, I would assume in 2023 you have a budget, so there's.
Yes, yeah, there's the budget's still there.
But let's look at 2022, you have a budget in the blue column, then you have the expenditures. What is the difference? What does that mean?
Is this your graph?
I didn't hear the question.
The difference, the gray?
So you have, the budget understood, the expenditures understood, but what is the column or the bar, the label as difference?
Different.
Go ahead, Shay will be able to explain.
This isn't my slide, but I would venture to guess that the difference just being that we haven't spent anything yet this year for it.
Yes.
Seems to match on 2021, but I see what Ramiro's saying, it doesn't.
It
That's
doesn't
my.
match up.
Yeah.
Just, I think it's off the gray bar.
I mean, maybe the numbers behind the graph may be a little bit off on 2022, because I would assume the 22 will be similar to 2021.
Right.
The difference.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. We'll submit a correction on that.
Yes.
And the budget for 2023 and track expenditure so far, that'll be good.
Thank you,
Because
Shay.
if there's no expenditures, the blue and the gray bar should be the same.
Any other questions on TST?
Oh, I had a question. So, with the incarcerated veterans, are there any other services or challenges that they have that might not be in the program overview that you've encountered?
That I've encountered, yes, and we work in conjunction with the other TST program members. Ashley, the previous person that was in Shay's position, and I have encountered individuals that that we're not actually able to assist with this particular program, but I'm happy to say that the TST program has a plethora of different programs from mental health to counseling to just a mirage of services that they provide for veterans, if we're unable to assist. Our program is limited to our specific policies and things of that nature, but yes, there are.
As far as like specifics, from what you were briefed by Ashley, what are some
So,
issues?
what they're incarcerated for how long they're going to be in, what they're incarcerated for, the nature of their charges. And also, if they're willing and able to, be a part of the program. It's not, it's voluntary, so we run into that a lot. And then to be honest, there are a lot of people who don't know that they are veterans, so we run into that very often in the jail system.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, if it's a serious crime, they're gonna be in jail, expected to be in jail for a long time, there's not much that we can do for them. Yeah.
We had, I was a criminal defense lawyer before, Commissioner, and I had a client who was in we got him into veterans court. But I think before even that entry, there was a gentleman who helped me with a case plan, John.
Oh, from WDVA.
Yes.
John Matthews?
No, John, I know what you're talking about, so, yeah.
Well, anyway, just as an example, and it kind of goes to your question, I mean, in this case, the veteran was sort of having escalating mental health issues. And so a pretty serious incident happened in the home, but then we needed, in order for him not to just be sitting in jail, we had to put he couldn't go back home because that's where it happened. I mean, it was kind of wasn't domestic violence in the classic sense, but it was something that the judge wasn't gonna allow him back in the home. So we would have had to, we had to put together a very detailed and specific, these treatment and find a placement and go through all this and then write it all up and get it to the judge to hopefully get this veteran out. Cause, I think he was what he needed wasn't gonna be served by sitting in jail, like a lot of folks. And anyway, that was really helpful,
Thank
and
you
I
for
would
that.
imagine that's the kind
Yeah.
of thing that
Absolutely.
this person would be able to do, this was some years ago and I don't think this existed.
Yeah, there's several programs out there and it's very impressive. We had a briefing last Friday and it was awesome to hear about all of the different services that they offer to incarcerated veterans, to assist them and to make sure that they can become productive members when they've had a little bit of trouble and can move on. So it's a great program.
And a little history on this program. So the Washington Department of Veterans Affairs used to have this contract. And so John, we worked with John, we managed that contract with WDVA. And then in about 2018, we took it back under the VAP. So similar program.
I think it'd be safe to say that we, society, offer quite a few programs for a lot of different folks. And some of those folks happen to be veterans. And so they might be getting their assistance through something completely separate than what you folks are doing. I mean, they become eligible, whether it's mental health or addiction, whatever it might be. So I think the public ought to know that this is just a safety net, so to speak, maybe to catch those that don't get.
Complimentary.
Yeah, it's so, we've got a lot more numbers out there. If we knew everybody that was a veteran involved in this stuff, it would show up, that a lot more people are being served, but maybe not necessarily by your group, but by the services that are provided for society in general.
Yeah, and it's a good point, because this program is called Veterans Case Manager. So it's not that we offer all the programs, but we can connect them. So if it's mental health or counseling with the VA, we can do that through the hub as well. So we try to use the federal programs as well to complement this program.
So the next program that we're going to discuss is the VEI, the Veterans Employment Initiative. This was voted by you guys a couple of years ago, and we've implemented this, and I'm very, very, very happy about this program. It's the pilot program, and we've had 2 veterans this year that have made it through this program. The first veteran It made it through April 1st and is employed. We were able to secure good employment for him and his family and take care of his minimal financial dealings for the 3 months for this particular veteran. So we do want to thank you guys for approving that for us because this has been a complete success for us. The second veteran, we're happy to say, he just got employment, got exactly what he wanted, and was able to, really just a wonderful story about how he was able to get this for his family and secure employment to be secure for his children. And, yeah, the program is going really well here. And we're hoping to bring this particular veteran in to give his experience about what this program did for him. We did get a letter from him, and we communicated with him on a weekly basis. Shay and I did, to ensure that he was going to his interviews and following up with him. I am very excited that we were able to do this one veteran at a time, because had we had more than one veteran, we learned so much from the first one to the second. It was perfect that we only had to deal with one veteran at a time to get a good flow and see what our checks and balances were. I think going forward, this program is gonna be successful. I will definitely see to that, and next year, hopefully, we'll be able to bring on some additional veterans to partake in this. Our partners for employment have worked really hard with interview training, resume writing, and taking care of some of their expenses while they're going through these interviews and trainings, and some of them are employed or underemployed, and we were able to really make this a great experience.
And
That would be
you guys
great.
might,
That would be great if the veteran can, address the board and
Absolutely,
express his or her experience
absolutely.
during this program. Yeah,
You-
that would be great.
you may
So that's
remember, when we brought this to you, you guys were a little hesitant because there's only one veteran a quarter. And the reason for that is we've learned a lot from veteran to veteran, and we want to bring on more because again, this is successful, and the basis of this program is to unemployed or underemployed veterans who need to take care of their family. They need more, or maybe they're not in an industry that they like. And so that's what we're working on. And we work with Morningside, who helps people with developmental disabilities find employment. So it meets their mission. People are veterans, they have a disability of some sort. And so they're working directly with them. And then we also support them in financial ways so they can focus just on getting their job. Because we know that if you're looking for a job, you don't want to lose what you got because you still have those bills to pay.
Absolutely. Any questions regarding this?
One quick question. So I'm assuming both of these veterans were men,
Yes,
but I would imagine there potentially could be other needs. If you
Absolutely.
have female veterans that are going through the program, like childcare or other types of issues that.
our next veteran is actually female. And this was just kind of a luck of the draw. We looked everywhere, and, people sent us referrals for individuals at the hub. So yes, we have a running list. Now that the word is kind of out, we have a list of individuals who actually call us and ask if they can be a part of the program. So our next veteran that's coming up, she is a female and has children, so we'll get to see that other side of it.
Needs could be very different.
Yeah, we have, but in the budget, we called out, I think, childcare is called out. It's not all of their expenses, but it's the bigger ones that would cause some anxiety with trying to find a job.
And for our veteran number 2, we did have to provide assistance for family care for this veteran because he does have a wife that stayed home and was in the process of having a child. So we did have to deal with those issues as well. So this has been a very telling experience for us.
And if I may add something, with this second VEI client, this is so far the only VEI client that I've had the privilege of being involved with. Bringing that veteran in has really been able to connect him to the other services offered through the hub. So, for example, he has physical issues that have prevented him from getting all the documentation necessary for his VA claims. So we're trying to help him through that process, getting him connected with other resources, financial support, getting him connected with our third party, Morningside, thank you. I think building that network for him, building that support for him has really been a game changer. I can tell you, he's spent time in my office crying. We've cried with him. Building him up has been such a privilege. So personally, I want to thank everybody involved for letting us do this VEI program.
Absolutely.
Are we now in a position that we can expand the program and offer to a few more? We're not there yet, huh, Bill?
We're not there yet.
We're.
For us to expand,
your lead.
let's expand this program and have one person, have this, more than one person. There's gonna take a staff, a one-person staff to run these people to make sure that they're being counseled, being at the right place, getting all their ducks in a row and everything. These right here is not capable of doing their job for the county and doing those two. So one person is what we're looking to do. May go two by the first quarter, but at this time right here, one person.
So Bill's my biggest advocate, I think. I appreciate that. We will be able to expand a little bit probably, but this is very labor intensive to manage this program. It's more than what we anticipated. But we're looking at some time saving processes that we can do with this. But especially the first one, we learned a lot from that. And so by the end of the year, the pilot will be over and we have to decide on whether or not to continue on with it. And we'll bring that back to you.
Let's get the female with the kid care, daycare and all that. Then we'll look at expanding to more than one person.
Slide. All right, potential projects. So these are things that we want to bring to you within the next month or two. Very excited because these are things that we really haven't done. The VEI is really we went out on a limb with this one. It wasn't just direct services. It is helping individual veterans to get better, not just come to the fund, take money and have to come back. We want them to be self-sufficient. So there's two programs that we're looking at with Habitat for Humanity. One was approved by the advisory board last month. The other one we're going to vote on again because we needed some more details. But the first project with Habitat is, and I don't have it in front of me, darn it, is a program. It's a federal program with matching funds. And it's to rehab homes for disabled vets. So whether it's to lower countertops or to expand doorways, to make the showers more accessible for wheelchairs. And so they have, the feds will match up to $5,000, but they need somebody else to match. They need somebody to come in with the money. So they have three veterans in the pipeline that need something that there's about $30,000 that they need matching funds with. And so this is something that we can do right away. And we'll propose this to you in the next month or so. We'll make it formal, but this is something that we'd like to do ongoing with Habitat. And we're allocating up to $50,000 a year for this program. Any questions on that one? And I'll get the name of the program. I don't have the acronym.
It sounds like that Rebuilding Together program. It was not veteran, focused, but it's the same idea. It's like small repairs to,
Yep.
maybe put in a ramp.
Ramps. Yep.
And then they get volunteers from the community and they raise resources and then they go out and make these kind of
Yep.
modifications.
This one has a much longer acronym that I cannot remember, but it is veteran focused. Yep.
Because right now, he said he had about 15 veterans waiting for assistance for their homes, so.
15?
Right.
Wow, that's significant.
And so far, 3 is what they had the money for, and as Mark brought it up, I told him, I said, wish I had thought about this earlier.
Is there a limit on the federal $5,000 cap?
They have a 5,000 cap, yeah.
Yep, no, but how many
No,
times?
they didn't say there was a cap on how many they can help.
Okay.
Well, if there's 30, if they're looking for 30,000 in match, one would assume that's 6.
Well, so it's not, all of that's not matching, so it's 5,000 per veteran, so there's 3 veterans, so 15, but the repair costs are gonna cost more.
Also that.
Yeah, thanks for
Okay.
that.
The total.
The fixture,
the material.
Yeah. The second program that we're looking at, it hasn't been voted on by the advisory board yet, is our home builds. And this is why I went to Habitat initially to do, I thought I can get out there with a hard hat and we can go out and do veteran home builds. It's not really how it works, I guess. I was a little naive. But next year they have 3 veterans. They have 1 veteran that's identified, and we'd like to do up to 3 veteran home builds. They will supply the land, or they have the land. Then they have $100,000 in the material costs, and then they need another 150 to build 1 house. And so this is a great opportunity to get a low-income veteran family into an actual home at the cost of, for the county would be about $150,000 per home. We are looking at a lot of the details. I talked to Robert about this, and he had some good ideas. How do we keep it veteran? How do we keep it low income? Habitat already keeps it low income. They have the right to first refusal for selling. It has to be sold to somebody below 80%. Is it AMI, I think? And so they can also put in there that it has to go to a veteran. There's some other things that we have to work, a lot of little details, like if the veteran dies, how does that work out? How does it get sold? So we're working on those details, but this is a great opportunity. And in some respects, a large fund balance is not a great thing to have, but in other ways, we can do bigger projects, something similar to this. So again, that would, once the advisory board votes on it, we'll package it and bring it to you guys. The other program that we've been fighting for the past almost year, Bento, some of you may have heard of it. We had a huge breakthrough, I think it was July meeting. We finally, Bill was great, and Ken, collaborating with the other advisory board members, and we didn't get a consensus, but we did have the majority vote for Bento. Okay, some of you may not know what Bento is. So Bento is, we've been living this for a year, so it's, I forgot to tell you what Bento is. So Bento is a way to solve or to address food insecurity, in this case with veterans. And it's all done on an app, so that we would register the veteran, make sure they qualify for the program, and then they would link up with Bento. And essentially what it does is, if a veteran wants groceries, they just text this number and say, I want this, and they'll have their identification number embedded so they know who that person is. And they can order their food online without the stereotype of going in there with whether it's EBT card or whatever it is. So they just have to just text it, and they can go, or then the food will be delivered, or they can go pick it up. That was the general gist of it. Was there any more on that?
Mark, is it only groceries? I thought.
No, it was also restaurants. So we could choose which restaurants. It wouldn't be like McDonald's, because we want to make sure that they have the healthy options. So it was for restaurants as well, where they could text and then just go pick it up, and there wouldn't be any transaction of money between them and the agency. So or the restaurant, so nobody would know who's paying for it. It was Joe Smith is the one paying for it. Anything else on that?
So food insecurity is just one part of the Bento program. It also then provides case management services. So the types of connections that our staff are making on a limited basis could be greatly expanded to connect these vets to all the types of services that are available to them. And then it also has a health aspect where if they need connection to healthcare or mental health care, they assist in making the appointments, finding providers, and then sending reminders, hey, don't forget your appointment tomorrow. And it can become a very robust wraparound services. It starts with food insecurity, because if you're worried about where your next meal is gonna come from, then you're not gonna address any of those other needs. So it it has huge potential to become a wraparound service and a great service for our vets.
So that's the good part. And so we fought this, and so after it was approved, we went back to Bento to meet with them. And California saw the advantage of this program too, and they made them a Medicaid provider or Medicare, Medicaid provider, and now they have the potential of several million new customers. So they're not taking on any more customers. So I put these slides together before I knew about it, not to waste your time, but let you know what was out there and what was presented. So I had to address this since, you know.
Since on slide.
Yeah, so this just developed. They apologized profusely, and they'll let us know if they can take on any more people, any more customers in January. We'll meet again. But right now, that's not gonna be an option, unfortunately. But that's good that, you know, they're, at least California is seeing the benefit to this program. And then we'll get more data.
Is there any other similar providers?
We'll have to look at it. We're doing our
They're
own.
extremely unique. It was a
Yeah.
brand new thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very unique, very tailored.
Missed opportunity.
Came out of COVID.
Well, and that's why I told him, I said, right now, I feel like, you know, 20 years ago when I should have jumped on Amazon, or 30 years ago with Microsoft, and he's like, yeah, I know, but we did what we could, and so we're still addressing food insecurity in a different way, kind of on a mini bento. We're still working on that just within the program until we can find something else. The veteran housing stabilization pilot, you wanna touch that? Well, I'll give you the best. So there is one of our board members came up with an idea, Matt, who's one of our lawyers on the board. And what the proposal is to, if somebody is spending, again, they have to qualify for the program through the RCWs. But if they are spending more than 30% on housing, this program, our VAP would cover whatever over 30% for a year. So we're still working on details with that. So if they qualify for the program and they're spending, you know, $1,500 for rent, which is very low, so don't quote me on these numbers, but and 30% would be $1,000, we would cover that $500 a month for that year. It's just to get them a start. We don't know what the exit is yet, and that's what my concern is. So we're still working out those details.
That's what my concern is.
But those are bento aside, the two habitats and the veteran housing stabilization are three big projects that our fund balance could really address and benefit many veterans. And I know we're running out of time. Any questions on that stuff so far?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, is that gonna be your list of, well, you're not gonna do bento now, it sounds like, I thought, I was there for that last discussion. But when it comes to doing things different, taking on new projects and stuff, that's what we can look forward to being done for the rest of this year, 24, or as we expand our offerings to veterans, that's what we're gonna do different.
Yeah, as long as we have the funds, the balance, we can do these exceptional projects. There may be another time when we're back in 2010 where we've depleted that fund. I mean, the pendulum swings back and forth. And so right now, we're in a good position and we can do projects like this. And so for the foreseeable future, what we're projecting out 3 to 5 years with the Habitat program, that we'll be able to support this.
Are we looking at what other organizations are doing to help their folks to see if there's something we could plagiarize? You know, cause a lot of this stuff, just like you can't get the folks come out of the woods, so to speak. I mean, you can offer, that's all you can do is really offer. And so some of these issues, more than likely, even if we develop them, there's gonna be a minimal participation for one reason or another, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to help them out best we can. So I'm just hoping that we're asking those questions of other organizations. you know, what are you guys doing to address this issue? So do you get together with some of your peers?
Yeah, so prior to COVID, we had a committee with ACHS, Association of County Human Services. And so our subcommittee was for veterans. And so we would meet with all the state or all the counties that provide this service directly, and we would compare things. And that's how some of our policies have changed over the last 5 years. And so Shay and Lanice have reignited that, and they just had a meeting last week. And so and that's where we learned that, you know, our standard of 200% is kind of the top in the state right now. Usually they're at 150%. So, yeah, you go ahead.
So in an effort to make sure, you know, I've been in this program now for a little over a year, and Shay and I put together a veterans regional meeting. So we spoke with several of the other counties that manage the veterans case program. Great information. We shared our policies, which are open to everyone through the counties. We talked about our trials, our tribulations, what we suffer with, and we're really for me in my position, I think that we're standing really strong with how we are attacking some of these programs and getting these programs out. We're sharing information. We've decided to have these meetings either quarterly or maybe monthly. We're still waiting on the rest of the vote to come back from the other counties. But we have seen that we are offering services. They were very impressed, to say the least, of the things that we offer here in Thurston County. And I also witnessed some other counties who offer things that I want to bring apart to us. So we're kind of sharing information, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but to get on it.
Kids up in your group?
Yes. It was an excellent meeting, so we're learning to share and give each other information. Some of the projects that we discussed that are currently underway, Robin, thank you for sending us the Project Green Light. We talked about that with all the other veterans counties. That's gonna be awesome. We're starting early this year. Of course, Veterans Day, we've secured that again as we did last year. We'll be at the same location, which is the South Sound location next to the hub. We've also utilized the county media, the video infomercial. That was something that me and Shay participated in a week ago. We will also have veterans speaking directly on these media outlets that'll be put on social media. And that's for Facebook or whatever they use there. The veteran provider collaboration that you see on here is the regional meeting that I was talking about. We're also gonna be including that in the ACHS to put it together with everyone for all of the counties that service in Washington or in our region that service veterans. Some of the other things that we'll be doing in conjunction with the hub would be Purple Heart Day, Veterans Mental Health Awareness. All of these items are also posted to our Thurston County websites and given out in flyers and brochures that we're trying to spread the word. PTSD awareness, Gold Star Mothers and Family Day. We attended that earlier this year and we'll have that this year again. And we also have the National Vietnam War Veterans Day and Wounded Warrior Day. And I relisted the VAP regional meetings. We're trying to see if some of the counties that are closest with us would like to collaborate in having, getting a location and having veterans come out to share the information of what services are available.
Did you mention about the breakfast? For some of these things?
Yes, yes, and what we're gonna be doing, you mentioned what our plans were, our breakfast is to have people come to the hub and serve them meals and talk with them and figure out how we can assist them in the community, have different providers come out, dental. We also looked at having a dental provider, someone to take blood pressure, different type of healthcare needs that are specific to our veterans.
Is the website easy enough to find on the
Thurston County.
county? Yeah.
Yes, it is, and we have links for that on almost everything, and yeah.
Can you talk about Project Greenlight? I'm not that familiar with that.
Project Greenlight is where the county buildings in each county, and it was brought to us by Robin, again, thank you. It's a great program throughout the country.
National program.
It is, and they light the courthouse, the public health building, any county buildings it's illuminated with a green light during Veterans Day time.
It's just a point of, it's just awareness, Veterans Day.
Awareness. So in the evening time, you'll drive past, you may have seen this in other places over the years, you drive past.
Or your
it.
front door.
I think we did
Yeah.
try something.
Did that
It's a
last
NACO
year.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty great.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else to add to that? Okay. And so I know that we're running short on time, so the goals that we're having are larger visibility in Thurston County. We're utilizing putting out more visibility for the county members with media, events, partnerships. Shay and I have contacted many providers, restaurants, doctors' offices, anyone that has hands-on or availability to veterans we've contacted. Policy revisions, maximum allocation increase, adding additional services for assistance. We did that last year. You guys were able to approve, and that really increased our numbers, as you can see from the previous slides. I will be back again probably in about a month or so for an additional increase so that we can, and some additional changes to put down the barriers that have been blocking some of our veterans from getting the assistance that's specific to them. Increase on provider collaboration. I think we've talked about this throughout this whole briefing. It is very imperative that we have provider collaboration on all levels. We plan on having our video run even at JBLM, at different offices, different places where it's running on their stream. People don't know that we exist, and some people may work on JBLM or volunteer there and be a veteran that stays in Thurston County, and they're not aware that they qualify for our program. So it's important to let them know about that. And the board members have we've increased our membership and we're at full capacity. And we've also increased our board meetings. Our meetings were quarterly prior to, and we've decided with Bill and Ken and all of our gracious board members that that's just not enough. We need to meet more often so we can get things done appropriately.
Now it's once a month or how often?
Once a month.
Once a month.
Oh, good.
Anything about, maybe furnishing pizza or something like that to get people to come?
I'm always down for a good meal, so I never, I'm always okay with that. And I don't know if that really makes a difference or not, but I personally am always okay with
Well, I don't know if
pizza.
it makes a big difference
Oh,
or not.
a
but,
little
I mean,
bit.
what else do they get out of it? I mean, it's strictly a volunteer group that's trying to do good. Gosh, if we've got the resources, I just say pizza. I don't care if it's pizza or not. I just think we ought to at least be hospitable to our members that are willing to come to meetings and
Absolutely.
give them a little something. I don't know what, but it's
That's-
not
yeah.
much.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that we
I'm
talked to
gonna
Bill
buy
about it, so, and we'll put the request in. Yep.
Our board members are very dedicated and work very hard, volunteer basis. They reply to emails, they come into meetings, they do events like this, so we're very thankful. And I wanna thank all of you for that help and support that you give to Shay and I.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
That was all we have. Any other questions for us?
after this.
We only have.
Okay, I'm not seeing any. Again, I just want to thank all of you for coming today and giving this presentation. Want to thank our Veteran Advisory Board volunteers. Really thank you for everything you do and the work that you've been doing. So it is 9:59 a.m. We are adjourned.